Hey everyone, welcome to Living in the Aftermath. This is Lyndsey, your weekly trauma host, and this week we are joined by Courtney with Time to Process, and she is so much fun. So I went on her podcast, what was it, last week, a couple weeks ago?
Oh my gosh. Well, it was like a few weeks ago, but then the episodes just came
Aired.
out like in the last couple weeks.
Yeah. So if you guys haven't checked it out, go check that out. So that's a little bit about me. And then she agreed to come and be on my podcast
I know.
today.
I'm so honored because I've never been on the other side. So I'm
that's
way
fun.
excited.
I know. I always get a little anxious going and talking on
Yeah.
podcasts. And so it's been fun to be like the one on this side and feel the different, like anxious, fun energy before people come. So
I know. Well, because that's the thing is I'm like, I typically like, no, it's just like we're having a conversation.
Yeah.
But even coming here, I'm like, okay, well, what am I going to talk about though? Like, I feel like I'm the one that always has questions, but now that I have to like sit back and
I'm so excited. Well,
anyway,
I'm happy you
we'll
agreed.
see. Yeah, I'm excited.
So I will let her she shared a little bit about like her experience with her husband. So I will let her kind of share what she feels comfortable sharing, and I'll kind of ask questions as we go. And I hope you guys enjoy it. So I'll let you go.
Well, and I don't know if you even want me to like get into like the full story or if we can like kind of divulge more like with the questions that you ask, right?
Yeah.
But my husband, who I'm completely obsessed with, love him so much. He's a recovering alcoholic and addict of 10 years. So he was an alcoholic and addict before that for 20 years. So I guess I should say he's been sober for 10 years. And, you know, going into our relationship, like I knew he drank. I would drink with him sometimes too. I wasn't around alcohol growing up. Like that wasn't a part of our lifestyle or anything like that. And really the people that I knew. Oh, and I feel like too, growing up kind of in a culture that, not that I was ever told that it was like, it's so bad and people that drink are bad. It wasn't ever like that, but it was just like, I don't know, it felt like a scary thing when people drank, you know? And so, and I didn't really understand it more until I got older. So I really had no concept of addiction, like whatsoever. I had no idea how it worked.
I think a lot of people do. Like, I don't know that even people who have even experienced it like on a small scale, you know what I mean? I think that my ex had a lot of things that he was addicted to in very small ways.
Sure.
And I could see the frustration that built, but that was not even close to what it is. And so it's so hard for my brain to comprehend that.
Oh, yeah. Well, and especially when people are like, it's a disease. I'm like, no, it's not.
Okay.
But it is, right? Like it took me a lot of years to realize and understand that.
Yeah.
Because in my brain at that time, it was just, you know, if I'm a better wife, if I'm a better mother, if I'm a better partner, like all the things. And then it was, well, obviously I'm not good enough or I'm not doing what I'm supposed to, or like basically like, why am I not enough for him to stop? Like I could not get that through my brain. And because that's literally not it.
Yeah.
That's not it at all. He has to want to change for it to work.
100%.
And so we had been married, let's see, about 10 years. Well, yeah, let me think back to the dates. We were married in 2006 and he went to treatment for the first time in 2012. So we'd only been married for 6 years when he went to treatment for the first time. But
so you knew that he was an alcoholic when you got married, right? Sorry, did you answer that?
Nope, I didn't. So I'll go back. Sorry. Okay, so because like I remember times when we were dating, him drinking a lot and me being like, oh my gosh, like that was kind of excessive. But I also, again, hadn't been around very many people that drank. So I was like, oh, maybe that was just like a one-time thing or like we happened to go somewhere. And so that's why he was drinking a lot or he was playing poker with his friends or there was just a few instances, but I also wasn't with him. I didn't live with him at the time. Yeah. So it wasn't like I saw him drinking in the morning and noon at night. I saw him drinking every night when we were together, but.
Were you guys living in Utah at the time?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, and sometimes I think too, because of the stigma of Utah, when kids do turn 21, whether they've known alcohol is good, bad, whatever their view on that is, once they turn 21, they're like, I'm an adult, I can do it.
Yeah, sure.
And so it's maybe not so uncommon to see people go really hard every once in a while when they're young and in that stage of life. So I can see why your brain was like, maybe feeling like it was a little weird, but definitely not.
Well, and I think too, like, he was older than me, and I just was like, he just knows.
Yeah. How old was he when you started dating him?
Let's see. I think he was 25 and I was, so I had like, I turned 21, like, a couple weeks after we met.
Okay.
And I wanna say that he was, yeah, like, 25. And then because I think that the next year I turned 22 right when we get like, right after we got married, and then he turned 26 that year.
Okay.
I think. Yes, I'm almost positive. But I looked at him as, like, he was just this businessman, he owned a home already, he was, like, put together, he
Yeah.
had a kid, he just was
This was just how
I
he
was in
relaxes
awe,
and
I was
yeah.
in awe, yeah, like, I just really, like, was so smitten right from the beginning,
And
really
when
always have been.
right, and that's fair, I love
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
When he would drink, was there any other, like, red flags during that time or just, like, you noticed that he would drink a lot at the first?
Yeah, well, and even then, like, I remember though our first year and even, like, right before we got married, I was asking him, like, "Can you stop? You need to stop. This is not something that we want in our home. This is like, I feel like you drink too much sometimes." But again, in my naive brain, that's what I thought I had to do is just ask.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing is that we did have a really first hard year of marriage because my father-in-law had passed away months after we had gotten married. And we knew that he was terminally ill for a long time before that. He luckily made it to our wedding. Our wedding was in May. He had, I want to say, I think it was a pulmonary embolism like 6 weeks after we got married, and then he passed away in October. So
Goodness.
literally months. And I mean, I've never lost a parent, so I don't even know how I would respond in that situation. Obviously, he was my father-in-law, but I was fairly new to the family.
Yeah.
By that point, we had dated a year and then just been married a few months. Um, and so for him, I think that obviously like rocked his world. So
Yeah.
then I was like, he was drinking again. And I was like, okay, like I understand that. But again, he was the whole time a functioning drunk. So I think a lot of it, because he had been doing it and functioning for so long, I probably also didn't realize how much he was drinking.
Do you wanna explain that a little more for people? Like, when you say functioning drunk, like, can
Okay,
you
so he,
explain, like, what that means to people? Because I think
yeah,
there's an assumption of what that looks like.
sure. Well, and I want to like kind of explain it two different ways. Like I am a lightweight when it
Mhm.
comes to anything medication wise. So if I take, say, for instance, like a pain pill or something like that for a surgery or whatever, it's like, bye bye, see you next Tuesday.
Yeah.
Right. Like I am knocked out. It takes me down. Like I literally am asleep.
Yeah.
And so for me, in my mind, I think, well, most people it's like that, but it's not. Like
Yeah.
for him, he had grown such a tolerance that he was still a fantastic husband and a fantastic dad. And he still went to work every single day and he still did his job. So, in functioning drunk, I mean, he literally did all the things that he needed to do on a daily basis.
Was he hiding his drinking from you at this point, or you just know he was doing it every day? Like, was that the vibe?
Um, I don't think at that point, like, no, I mean, I really had no idea how much he was drinking at that point. And it wasn't, that wasn't even like the height of his
Yeah.
addiction. And so I just knew that he was, having cocktails at night or, I mean,
And you're just associating with, like, death of a parent and life
yeah,
and all of those things.
yeah. Like I don't, and it really has been so long now that I just don't know if I really remember.
Yeah.
Um, but for me, yeah, it was like, okay, this is, yeah, death of a parent and this is what's going on. But I think in the back of my mind was also thinking like, okay, but we don't just numb out, we still have to face our problems. Like, if you wake up tomorrow, it's still going to be there. Like, this is not going to change anything.
Do you guys feel like you had ever faced, like, struggles in your marriage that you had seen or I guess when you were dating? Because this was, like, really early on into your
Yeah.
marriage. But, like, clearly he's struggling to cope with the death of his father,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And which is fair, like, that's a huge thing. Do you think that he learned coping skills prior to your relationship, or do you feel like it was just, like, the death of his father he was struggling with? Does that make sense?
No. So this is the thing is that he had started using hard drugs, like probably like in his late teens and early into his early 20s. And I guess I couldn't even say that because then he had his son and then he quit hard drugs, but drinking was always still basically
There.
socially acceptable.
Yeah,
Yeah. Like, and it was still there. So I think that he, at that point, probably just switched one addiction for the other.
I can see that.
Right. So
Well,
there
he's going
wasn't like,
through really big things at a very young age.
yeah,
Like, that's
yeah.
very heavy to have a child at that young of an
Hmm.
age is so difficult. I can see if you've already experienced something that makes it a little easier,
Yeah.
why not just keep doing the thing that makes
Yeah.
it a little easier?
Sure. And I think there was a lot of like teenage things and like, his family had moved and there's all these like little things that had happened that I think perpetuated the um the actual like drug use,
Yeah.
And then again, just drinking was always an underlying issue after that once he had, actually quit the hard
Yeah.
drugs. And again, it's socially acceptable.
Yeah, it's fine.
That's why I'd say I'm like, there's probably so many more people that are alcoholics
Well, and that's kind
that
of what
no
I
that no one even knows, and they don't even realize that they're drinking more than
agreed.
they
I love that
should.
we're having this conversation because I don't think that drinking is bad. I
Yeah.
don't, but I can see where that line can get so blurry so easy.
Mhm.
And so I think kind of knowing what it looks like
Yeah,
is so
yeah.
important.
And it's interesting that you say that because I don't know, and maybe it's just because now I have such a jaded view, but now I'm like, "No, drinking is the worst." Like, nobody
Don't
should do
do
it.
it.
But it's only because I've just seen the damage,
Yes.
that it can do and that it is so highly addictive.
Oh, absolutely.
But so that like our first like I don't know if he had ever really no, I don't know if he ever really had coping skills.
It was
But
always kind of an assist. There was a crutch there to help with whatever
sure,
struggle he was going through.
maybe and again that's hard cuz I don't know if I've ever asked him that. Like I don't know if I could ever speak for him
Yeah.
in that regard, but um and just so you guys know, he and I have had this conversation. He's okay with me talking about
Yes, we
this.
did make sure about
Because
that
this
before.
is yeah, because this is, like, obviously, like, my side of the story. Obviously, that's why I say I can say, like, bits and pieces of his struggles and things like that,
Well, and
but
I
so
think I asked that too because I think that healthy coping skills is something that we struggle to teach our kids these days.
yes,
And so that's kind of
absolutely.
why I asked that question,
Yep,
right? Because I feel like even I have a hard time teaching my kids now like how to appropriately handle being angry.
yep,
It's okay to be angry. Angry is totally fine. That's a normal emotion. It's how you handle being angry.
absolutely.
And so I just think so often that's something that's missed in our kids and teaching them how to have those healthy
Mhm.
coping skills. So when someone does find something that makes it so you don't even have to have the coping skill,
Yes.
why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
You know?
Or even on the flip side where they just stuff their feelings down,
Absolutely.
and that's also a very hard one to teach
Yes.
because
Yes.
how do you make somebody,
Feel something.
yeah, feel something and show their emotion,
Yeah.
like
You don't.
yeah,
I
it's
think you do it by
very, very hard.
example and
Yeah.
show them it, but sometimes that can be so scary.
Yeah.
I think that even me this morning, bless my little one's heart, I had all this set up and she walked right past the cord and like hit the cord
Oh,
and it fell
no.
off the desk. And I was like, girlfriend, like, why would you walk right
Yes.
through it? And I was so frustrated and it
Yeah.
just broke her world. And my tone with her was just not right. Like,
Yeah.
yes, it was an accident, it was a
Yeah.
mistake, but then, like, I had to call her back and show her, like, "Okay, I'm so sorry,
Yeah.
sweetheart. That was not an appropriate emotion
Yeah.
for me to have in that moment,"
Yeah.
you know? And I think so often it's just us showing our kids how to have an
And
appropriate
you're such a
emotion.
nicer mom to me because I'm like, "You deserved that." And not deserve, it's more like, "Why did you do
Honestly,
that?"
that's
But
totally how I felt, though, and then my sweet husband, because I swear he is such a better parent than I am
oh,
some days,
man,
he
I
was like,
know.
"That wrecked her world, like, you need to talk to her," and I'm
Yeah.
like, "Okay, but why? Like, why did she walk
Yes.
through the cord?"
I know, because to me, I'm like, "You know better."
Yeah.
Like, you even though you're young, like, you know
Yeah.
better. Yes.
No, and
Same. My
he
husband
was
is for
just
sure a much better
incredible.
parent than
Yeah,
me.
so
Yeah.
patient with them and
Yeah.
amazing. But again, I think that's just a skill that we don't show our kids
Yeah.
and we don't teach very often,
Yeah.
so
Well, because I don't think it was something that we were taught
no,
growing up,
no.
right? Like the coping skills we have, I think was just it literally came just from life.
Yeah,
Like somehow we figured it out, some of us at least, and then others we didn't.
exactly. I
So
agree.
who knows?
Yeah.
Um
Sorry to derail the conversation,
no, no, I know. I'm
but
like, "Okay, where was it?" So I would say, okay, so like that was our first year, right? But again, we didn't besides that, we weren't having
there wasn't problems.
yeah, there were no issues. Like we were not like when you said like, marriage is hard, like I didn't really feel like marriage was hard. It really wasn't. Like
Yeah,
to me, it was so this is like, okay, this is an issue, but like he'll stop. Like again, I don't know, just addiction never really popped into
yeah,
my mind. It did in the back niggling me, like, hey, he's drinking a lot. But again, I didn't know what excessive was. Like you see movies and people get wasted all the
oh, yeah.
time. So like functioning wise, like I would say he had a hard time waking up in the mornings, but to me, like his mom had always joked he'd always had a hard time getting up. Like, sometimes she had to throw water on him
Ah!
in high school.
Oh, that's
And
amazing.
it's so funny to me because I'm like, I feel like I was getting myself up by myself when I was, like, in 2nd grade. Little yeah. So, like,
I
I've
feel like I've
accepted
shifted.
nothing more than that, like,
You're
from
like,
my kids.
"Get
I'm like,
up."
"You are like, no, you're on your own. Like, that is not my deal to get you up and out of
Oh, I
bed,"
would
you
not
know?
have been a good child for you. I was not. But I was always that
But
one that I swear to you, my alarm, like, blended into
yeah,
whatever dream I was having,
yeah,
and my mom never believed me, and I'm like, "Mom, I swear it." Like, but now
yeah.
I could not sleep to save my life, but then
Yes.
I could sleep
Well, and
through
that's just
anything.
us getting older. My gosh.
Right?
Because we get so used to, like, getting up with our kids that
Right.
now I'm like, "Oh,
It
it's
feels
fine."
wrong. I'm not
Yeah.
allowed to sleep anymore. I
No,
have
and
kids.
I also feel like that mind shift of, like, I'm wasting the day.
Yes.
Like, if I
There's
don't
so
get
many
up
things
and
to
get
do.
going, yeah, like, I've wasted half the day if I'm
Exactly.
not doing something by 9 a.m.
Yeah.
It's insanity. That literally means nothing. So we never had issues like that. Like, we were so in love. Like, we were just, like, living our best lives. Like, it was so wonderful. We would, run away to do, like, quick trips on the weekends, and, I mean, just, like, it was awesome. It
Yeah.
was so fun. We were both working. I was finishing hair school at the time. I mean, I literally so we got married, like I said, that I actually finished hair school that same month that my father-in-law passed away, that first year. And then I had, like, done all my certifications, and there was obviously little things here and there that happened, but same, it was like, "Okay, that's an oversight. I can forgive that."
Yeah.
I still didn't know or think in my mind, like, what have I gotten myself into?
Oh.
It all felt manageable,
Yeah.
very manageable. And so, I don't
Well, and that's
know.
the thing. I think even now, I don't know that, like, the what you still love him. You're right.
Yes,
The
yes.
mentality has never been the what have I gotten myself into? It's, "Oh crap, this sucks." Like, this is
Yeah.
so hard,
Yes,
right?
absolutely,
Because, like, I
absolutely.
love the way that you talk, how much because you can tell how much you
Yeah.
love him.
No, I
Even though
really
you
am
guys have been
obsessed.
through the hardest things
Yeah.
ever. I love that.
But I
So
think that's like, I always kinda think in my mind, like, people are like, "The 7-year itch, the whatever." I'm like, "Well, we kind of had that because we had to."
we did it on purpose.
Yeah, we did not do it on purpose, but it happened, and it was really awesome in the end because of how we came back
Yeah.
together, you know? But so then I would say, so like that was the first couple of years, right? He's drinking and he was probably hiding it from me. Again, I still don't know maybe the extent of what it was those first couple of years. Like every now and again, I would find like something and
Yeah.
I'd be like, hey, I thought had stopped and I thought we talked about this. And I know, and I slipped up. But again, I'm just a trusting person in general. I
Yeah.
know that about myself. I just want to believe the best in people. I'm sure I get taken advantage of all the time, but
Same.
but yeah, and so for me, like, I was just like, okay, like, I obviously would be frustrated and really heartbroken about certain things. But again, it just was never like, what have I gotten myself into? It was just like, okay, well,
Yeah.
we can work through this. Like, it'll be fine.
Well, and sometimes I wonder too if he didn't love that he was doing it either, right? And so like
Oh,
there was
I'm
a denial
sure.
on his part of like, I
Hmm.
really hate that I'm doing this and
Yeah,
like trying to avoid how serious it was in
sure.
his own mind,
Yeah.
right? Because I'm sure he didn't want to be doing
Well, but
any of
that's the
that,
first step is admitting you have a
which
problem.
is
And so I think to him, that's where, yeah, he didn't want to admit that because to him, he was like, I've quit hard drugs. Like,
yeah.
if I wanted to quit, I could.
Yes.
Right? I mean, really, truly, like that sentiment, that quote is wow,
My
so
ex
true and
said that
shocking.
all the
Yeah.
time. He's like, "I don't have an addictive personality. I can quit anything I want at any time."
Yeah.
And so he always was invincible to everything,
Hmm.
anything he wanted to do.
Yeah.
And I always remember I was like, "This doesn't feel safe."
Yeah.
Like that phrase in general doesn't feel safe to
Yeah.
me.
Yes. I know, which is funny
And
because
I never
then we
understood why.
rationalize
Yeah.
everything. I'm like, I could stop that.
Right,
Like,
yeah.
I can quit. I can
Totally
quit
fine.
drinking
Sugar.
Diet Coke anytime. Yes, I
Yes.
can.
It's totally fine.
I know, which I'll get to other things he would say like after that. Because same, he would call me out on certain things and I'm like, but mine's not the issue. Anyway, yeah,
Yes.
that's deflecting. But okay, so I would say though, again, he's drinking, but I'm not realizing the extent. So I have my son. So he had a kid before,
Mhm.
which, but he had just turned 4 right when we met. I've been a part of his life since before he
Little.
can remember. And so we have a son together. And um that whole first year is wonderful. Again, he's so great, like all of the things. When my son, so babies, they are like always kind of cross-eyed.
Mhm.
Okay. So you're like, oh, this is normal. Well, he was getting to about 1 and he was still going a little bit cross-eyed. It wasn't all the time.
Yeah.
He kind of looked like he had one that was lazy. Well, our oldest, he needed glasses at a very young age because he also had a lazy eye.
Mhm.
Okay. But it would fix with glasses, like the vision
Okay.
would fix. So we were like, oh, he probably just has something like that. I have terrible vision. I'm blind as a bat. My family, I would say, I think I only have one sibling that does not wear glasses. Yeah, we are all blind as bats. My mom and dad both wear glasses. Anyway, so we go into the pediatrician for his 1 year appointment and like, hey, so I'm kind of concerned about this. He's only, I know this. He's one, but like, it seems like that typically should have been gone away by now. And he looks at him, does a few things, and he's like, you need to see a specialist. So I'm like, okay. So we go up and so we see this specialist in Salt Lake, and my husband was with me. But the specialist looked at him right away. I mean, literally, he like was in 20 seconds and was like, he has optic nerve hypoplasia. So that just means the optic nerve, which is what actually takes the pictures that you see with your eye to your brain, never fully developed in utero. So he is, which we didn't know at the time, but he is 100% blind in his left eye.
My gosh.
Like it's black, like totally, like it's not even there.
And he's one when you're figuring
Yeah.
this out.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So, but for me, again, this is, I think, personalities too, right? Like me, I'm like, okay, we can
can do
handle
it.
this. We'll figure it out. But the way they explained it, which I do kind of fault the doctor for this, was if that didn't fully develop, then we don't know if his brain fully developed. So we need to get him in for I can't remember if it's a CT or an MRI. It
One
must
of
be
the
an MRI,
scans.
one of the scans, so we can see his brain.
So I bet your mom heart is just like,
Yeah, because we're just like, wait, what? Like we
how do
have
you
this
even
perfect little
process
baby
that?
who's one. Like there's no way he's not perfect and that he's totally healthy and all of the things. I mean, he was 9'1" when he was born. He, literally just looked like a toddler when he came out. He was so massive and he grew so fast. I mean, we had him like, because again, this was 16 years, it's almost 17 years ago. But, he was heavy enough by 5 months. So they're like, sure, turn him around in the car seat.
Good
Because he was
night.
like 20 pounds at 5 months. Like he was just a massive baby.
Holy.
And so I was just like, I mean, okay, like, no, like we'll figure it out. This will be totally fine. It's gonna be fine. And anyway, that really rocked my husband. Rocked him, rocked him. And I would say that was the beginning of the end. I would say that that was what kind of changed everything. Like the drinking after that really became not unmanageable. And that was also 2008. The market had crashed. We both worked for a company um, that worked with home builders. So there was a lot that happened. He lost his job. I mean, he found another one within a week. Like, he knew so many people in the business world. So he moved jobs. That happened with our son. Like, just so many things were happening. Oh, it just like thinking back was so, so stressful at the time. But so the company, like I said, we both worked at the same company. I stayed, like, because I was only a part timer. They weren't paying me very much. So I worked there still, obviously. So I was still bringing in a little bit of money and I was newly doing hair, a few clients here and there. Anyway, it was just escalating more. So, and I kind of talked about this when you were on the podcast too. He was never an angry drunk. He a lot of times would, okay, like here's for instance. So like we moved into this house like right before I had my son, the one that had the optic nerve hypoplasia. Okay. And we received this oak desk
Okay.
as like somebody would just like gave it to us. Well, he's like, oh, this is amazing. It's going to be this great office. Like I'd say he's very traditional in that regard. And he was like, I'm going to refinish this desk and it's going to be amazing. And we're going to, whatever, it's going to be amazing. So I'm like, okay. But again, like I had refinished stuff. My parents had
Yeah.
refinished stuff. You sand it down, you paint it a couple of times, you put the polyurethane or the lacquer or whatever on it that you want, and then you're good to go. Okay, so he got so wrapped up in this desk. It took him like 9 months to finish. He was out there working on it like every night. Well, because come to find out, he was out there drinking and working on it at the same time, which I could go out there, but I think he had so many tools, not like it was hidden everywhere.
Yeah.
Right. But it was like, he sand it and sand it and sand it. And then he would put a thing on it and he's like, I didn't like it. So he'd sand it and sand it again. And then he'd put another, like, and then we're talking like oil-based paint. Like this is like so thick. I mean,
Holy crap.
this this desk eventually, you could have dropped it off the Empire State Building and
And
it
it
would
would've
not have
survived.
scratched. Like, it had so many layers of oil-based paint and lacquer and, like, all the things, and he had, like, a sprayer, and he was like, just all of the things. Literally was just, like, he got so, like, engrossed in this project, but again, I think it was just a space for him. So I would get super annoyed, like, "Bro, you're gone all day at work, and then you're
Working on this
working on this
stupid
stupid
desk.
desk." At lunch, I'm like, "This is insane." But Timmy's like, "You have to do it the right way. You have to do it the right way." And I'm like,
You're like, "I'm
"I'm
gonna
pretty
burn the
sure this
stupid
is
desk."
not the right way." And I still joke with him about it to this day.
Aw.
Like, that was so overkill. I mean, that's just like who he is in and of itself. Like, he just overkills everything, but he does everything the right way. 'Cause he's
Yeah.
like, if you don't do it the right way the first time. And to
Why
me,
do
I'm
it?
very much if it's done, it's fine. We'll fix like if it falls down
Totally okay.
later, we'll work it out. We're just different personalities like that. So that whole next, year, whatever, like definitely he's drinking more and then I would find it. And then that's when we were arguing. And like there was one time he did punch a hole in the wall, but same, I don't know if I ever felt scared in that regard. And there were some other things that happened kind of even later that I don't want to get into, but I never felt scared.
Yeah.
I mean, I really truly can say that. Like, I
Yeah.
didn't ever feel like that. I feel like it was just for years, I felt like I couldn't ever express my emotions because he wasn't available.
Yeah.
Like, it didn't matter if I argued with him. There was definitely times I poked the bear just because I was so pissed.
Yeah.
But the way I explained it to a friend once was I just like, "Hey, I'll just put it on the shelf." Because
Me?
I'm like, he was never there available to me. And then sometimes I would go back and say, "I tried to talk to you about this." And he's like, "Well, I don't remember that." Or like, "I do remember this or that," or, whatever. And so it wasn't, I just never felt like it wasn't progressing. Do you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like, it was never like, "Hey, these are my concerns." And he was validating me because he wasn't there.
Yeah.
Like, in those evenings, and he was at work all day. The only
100%.
time we could ever talk about it, he was already intoxicated, which then I'm like, he has to be drinking while he's driving. And,
Yeah, how are you drunk by the
there's
time you
all
get
of
home?
these things. Yeah.
Well, and I think too, finding resolution for those moments is so difficult because you are the one that's going to remember all of those
Mhm.
moments and all of those emotions and how
Yeah.
you felt. And being seen by
Yeah.
the person that caused those emotions
Yes.
when they don't even remember causing them
Mhm.
is so hard.
It's so hard because that's where I wanna say, like, that and I think that's why I keep reiterating, like, he's amazing, you guys. Amazing, amazing, amazing. And during all of those years, I really could say, like, this is not the man I married.
Which had to make
Like,
it so
it was
frustrating
not.
because you knew what he was
Yeah, I
capable
knew
of.
who he could be.
Yes.
Exactly. I knew who he was,
Yeah.
like, when we first got married because I knew he wasn't drinking as much as he
Yeah.
was then after that fact. Anyway, so that was a couple of years. I get pregnant with twins.
You and I
So
can
then I'm
relate to the
sure, yes.
difficulty
And
of
so
that.
I know, and I'm sure your husband felt the same way. Like, oh my gosh, we're
Yeah.
going to have two babies, like, providing for them financially, emotionally, all of the things. And, I think that was a big stressor. And at that point, too, there was, some additional work stuff that he had been asked to do. His brother was starting a company and he was like, "Hey, I really want you to help me with, the financials and things like that." But my husband was like, "Listen, I would love to join your company, but I really can't. Like, financially, I need a full time job. I can't do this part time while you're getting started. We're having twins. We have two other kids, like, kind of all this stuff." So I'm pregnant with the twins, and maybe I would say, because I had the twins in January, this was probably like November, October, November. His brothers had reached out to me. And we're like, "We need to talk about this. This is a problem." Because, like I said, he's doing these financials part time for this brother. And his brother's like, he's, showing up smelling like alcohol, which means he's driving. And, at this time too, which again, looking back, hindsight, I was super codependent,
Yeah.
right? It was like I was hiding keys. I was trying to do, like, I was snooping everywhere to, like, if I can find it and pour it out, if I can.
Then he won't do it.
Yes,
Did his
exactly.
family know about his problems with drinking during this time?
Yes, yes. So I think that they always kind of knew, and they obviously knew about the drugs beforehand. And so that's where I say, like, when his brothers kind of brought it, I'm sure that they had been talking about it as siblings, and with his mom.
But,
But
like, in this time, you kind of kept this exclusively to you. You weren't really
yes,
reaching
oh
out
yeah,
to
no,
anyone.
I was not reaching out at all. No, like, my family had no
I can
idea,
totally
like,
understand that.
nothing. Yeah. I mean, and again, like, after the fact, like, that we kind of let everything out of the bag, my brothers would say, like, we'd smelled it on him,
Yeah.
and I was like, okay, like, sure. I mean,
But
and
that's
you can't
something that
hide that.
how many family members are gonna come up and just straight up ask that question?
Yeah, like, "Hey, have
Not
you been
many.
drinking?" No, they would
Not
never, and
many.
especially, like, my family,
Which
they're just not like
honestly,
that.
like, maybe that should be changed
Yeah,
because honestly, a lot of problems would probably be fixed if people would just straight up ask questions directly
sure,
to that person
sure,
rather than have the conversations behind their back. And granted, maybe that person doesn't wanna hear it, but
yeah,
I don't
and
know.
I do think that they were so afraid of, like, his reaction,
Oh,
where it was
absolutely.
like, I mean, you
Well,
remember
and
that
probably
show
causing a
that
problem for you too. Like,
Oh, sure,
there's probably
sure.
so many layers
Yeah.
because I know,
Like,
like, how
"Why,
my
did you talk to them? Did you say anything to him?" Like, because I don't know. I mean, probably at that time. I don't remember dates and all of that. I'm typically like wicked good at the dates, but like around that whole time, like there's so much that like kind of jumbles together. But there were definitely times where, he wouldn't go to family dinner or he wouldn't do these things because he was like so inebriated. And I was having to constantly make up lies,
Yeah,
like, oh, well, he can't come because of this or he can't come. So I felt like I was constantly covering for him, plus keeping his secret. It was so daunting.
exhausting.
Yeah, and exhausting and so there was definitely times where we would argue, and he'd be like, "Why did you say something to them? And did you tell them?" And
You're
because
like,
again,
"Honestly,
you're
I don't remember."
yeah, and you're only as sick as your secrets.
Yeah.
But we were keeping so many secrets about that at the time.
Yes.
And so, yeah, it was so so hard. I remember the first time I ever told my friends. We were on a trip for like just a girls trip. And I don't even remember how we started talking about it, but we were all sitting in a circle, just visiting, and someone had brought something up anyway. And I just remember saying, my husband's an alcoholic. And all of them were so shocked. And like at that point, I think I was like, oh my gosh, like, how did I
Like,
how did I get here? Because not that I didn't love my husband, but it was just like, wait a second, this is like not what I signed up for.
no, I don't think anyone assumes that, like, that's life, right?
Yeah.
And I think saying that out loud can feel so much different than thinking it in your head.
Yeah, because again, you just still like loved him so much. Like I didn't want to
Sorry, I need
like
tissues.
I know I didn't think I would get emotional. But like I didn't like I just loved him so much. And I was like, how is this my life though? Like how did I end up like this? And that was like I remember praying all the time and I was like I mean, I've always been a prayer, but I wasn't doing any religion at the time. But it was so like, please, what can I do? Like, I have to find a way to, like, stop this. Again, the codependency was like, "Okay, how like, if I do this, if I'm a better wife, if I'm a better mom, like, if I can make more money, if I can do, like,
Take the
all of
pressure
these
off of
things,
him,
yeah, then, like, maybe, like, why am I not enough?"
which is so not real,
No,
but
no, not at
in the
all.
moment, do you feel like there's anything anyone could have said to you to make you feel like it wasn't all on you? Like, not that anyone knew,
Um,
right? But, like, if you were to talk to someone else in that moment of life, right? Like, where they're feeling like it's on them to take the pressure off their person, how did you
no,
come to the
well
realization that it wasn't your job to do that?
oh
Do you
my
know what I
gosh,
mean?
after 5 years of therapy?
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
he like, legitimately, that was, like it took me 5 years to learn that.
I think sometimes I still struggle with that.
Yeah.
I think that's very normal for a lot of people because I tell my husband all the time, if the problem is me, I can change it.
Yeah.
I can't make someone else do something different,
100%.
but I can change me.
Yeah.
So it's so much easier if I'm the problem.
Yeah. And that's where, like, when it's not you and you're trying to change somebody because that's all you know. I didn't know any different.
Yeah.
I didn't know. I don't know. It really frustrated me, I think, a lot of times when people are like, it's a disease. And I'm like, the hell it is, right? Because in my
Well, it
brain
seems
at
like a
that
choice.
time, that was where I was like, no, if he wants to stop, then he can stop. And clearly, I'm not good enough to stop for
Yeah.
it.
Choose different.
Yeah, to
Yeah.
choose different, and to me, I'm like, we're having twins and we're this and that. And then it was like, he would go to non-alcoholic beer, try to change things like, I'm doing this now and I'm doing this now. And like he always had a way. And then anyway, so his brothers kind of did an intervention, sat us down, both of us together. And my husband was pretty irate, like he was, I don't have a problem and this and that. And you guys don't know. And you're not dealing with the kind of things that I am. And, all of that,
All the justification.
all the justifications. So, because even with someone who maybe does still want to change, it's still hard for them to admit that they have a problem. And I also think it's if His same with his brothers because they didn't understand addiction. They didn't also understand that if he doesn't want to go, it's pointless for
Yeah.
him to try and go. Like
Yeah.
it just, but again, we didn't understand that either. So at the time, okay, so I'm like 8 months pregnant or 7 months pregnant,
Oh,
whatever it is with twins. This is what happens. He says no. Okay, maybe this. Like he was kind of like, I'll think about it. Like he had calmed down kind of eventually. And obviously I'm having to say the same. Like, I just want like our babies to be taken care of. I just don't want this to kill you. Like, I'm so worried about your health. I'm so worried about this, about that. And again, I'm knowing he's drinking his, DOC, if you will, his drug of choice was whiskey. I'm finding whiskey bottles places. They were just like stuffed everywhere.
yeah.
Okay, so then there was a few incidences that happened that really though pushed, again, those I don't want to talk about, but that pushed to basically everyone was like, you have to go. Like, you have to go.
You felt like it was more out of your control. You knew it was bigger than you at
Yeah,
that
it was
point.
bigger. Yes. And I did feel grateful, very grateful at the time that I did have these other people backing me up in and this is when my family learns what happened, like what's going on. Everyone's now aware. So my mom and dad kind of step in and like, hey, we've got to get him some help. We start looking into what our insurance covers, like all this stuff. And I think that this is actually a huge, huge issue is rehab's just ridiculously expensive.
Unrealistic for most people.
Unrealistic,
Which is so
100%.
sad. It should
Oh,
definitely be
it's
something more attainable for such a
mhm.
big problem.
Which and I understand why. You're
Yeah.
housing somebody literally for like
24/7.
60
Yeah.
days. Yeah, that is all of their food, that is the therapy, that is like I 100% understand it, but that also felt so overwhelming at the time that like we're not going to get help because we can't afford that. Like
Yeah.
I would say 90% of people can't afford that.
Oh, absolutely.
But luckily his brother was able to figure out a way to make it work. He really helped us. Like I will never be able to repay or to, I think, have them understand my gratitude because we couldn't have done it without them. Like 100% could not have done it without them. So he goes to treatment. So in my mind, I'm like, okay, my twins are 7 months old at this
Oh
time.
my gosh.
I have two kids older than that. Again, the one is technically a stepson, so he does live with his mom. So I have these three kids under the age of 4, and I have to sell my house. I literally moved out in the middle of the night. I'm not joking. Our neighbors were like, "Wait, what happened?"
Trauma.
Yeah. I luckily had so much help from so much family packing up. I moved in with my parents, and he was in treatment for 60 days. And
Did you just feel so, like, broken in that? Like, what was your
I
mindset? Were you kinda numb?
So this is the thing is I am an eternal
Oh,
optimist.
I wish I had that.
Okay. So to me, I'm very much like my father. Um, but I'm like, what are your options?
Yeah. I can see, for me,
Like,
I went numb. Like, when I was, like, in that, like, I've just gotta get things done, my
yeah,
emotions were bigger than
sure,
me, right?
sure.
So I felt very robotic. I don't know that I talk about this too, I feel really guilty about how I connected with my kids, like,
Hmm.
that year after I left, just because I feel like I had to emotionally shut down to just function and do the things that were required of me,
Yep.
and I think the first year of having a baby, 1 baby, is
Hmm.
so hard, let alone 2 babies,
Yes.
and then going through all of that. Like,
Yeah.
the fact that you even had any optimism is so admirable.
And I think that you're probably right. There was probably some numbness mixed with optimism, mixed with you do just kind of shut down and you just go to work.
Yeah.
Right? Like it was just like, this is what our daily tasks are. This is what we have to do. This is going to set us up for success. This is how
So you kinda
I
went
don't
into
know.
routine mode. You kept with your
Yeah. Oh,
routine. You
yes.
kept
Very much.
regimented.
Because again, my twins are 7 months old. We have to feed them at the same time. We have to change them at the same time. We have to, all these things. I'm working. I think I ended up getting another job. Um,
Which is so
Maybe
incredible.
not quite yet, but yeah, I'm still doing hair. Plus I'm still working at my technology company. I also didn't want my children's lives to be interrupted, which not
Yeah.
that they remember anyway, but and I still had younger siblings at home. That's the other thing, is I still had two siblings that were in school. So like I'm moving in with my parents who are still raising children, and
You're raising
Yeah, and then
children,
I'm raising 3 children, but
which
luckily, like,
oh,
my parents were such huge help. We talk about, like, waking up early. Like, my dad is an early I mean, he gets up at, like, 4 in the morning, but he got the babies up in the morning, and I would help feed them. Just was like it was amazing. That probably was the greatest thing that could have happened because I wasn't doing it alone,
yeah,
I wasn't on my own, and I was doing it alone for the most part just because my husband was working full time.
yeah.
That's just a
Well,
normal
and like you
thing.
pointed out, at that time when he was home, he was
Yeah,
doing
like in
other
the
things or
evenings.
drinking.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
And he obviously helped like where he could. He's a stick dad. A lot of times that I'm like, listen, I know you want to like be with the kids, but like, can you hang out with
can
me?
I be
Like,
selfish because I want
yes,
to?
because
Yeah.
he like just loves our kids so much. So that's where therapy starts for us. Okay.
Mhm.
So in treatment, we were able to do couples therapy. He had one on one therapy. I had one on one therapy. And that's where everything started.
Which I think the one-on-one therapy is so important. It can't
Yes.
just be one or the other. Like,
No, but you need to do both, I do think.
uh-huh,
Like, agree,
yes.
right? Where it's like because there were things that, like, I would say and, like, "Hey, I felt like I was always putting my emotions on the shelf." I remember vividly saying this, and then the therapist at like, "Well, how does that make you feel?" And he's like, "Obviously, that makes me feel bad, and I don't wanna do" like, again, it just helped to
Have a
have a third
mediator.
party to
I
be like
think
yeah, like, he's like, "I know, but I was doing it on purpose,"
yeah.
and it's like, I know that, but it still happened.
Yes. When I think too, I look back at my first relationship and I hold so much judgment towards myself on how I communicated or didn't communicate,
Sure.
right? And once it builds up to a certain level, coming back down, like you've got to have help with that.
Yeah.
There's no way if you've built it up to a certain place and not spoke your emotions, not had
Mhm.
healthy
Yeah.
communication, that you are going to conquer this without a third party there.
Yeah.
Because there's so many emotions that have been shoved down that
Yeah.
are going to come up when you bring up all those things that
Yeah.
you haven't.
Yeah. And like I said, sometimes I just wanted to poke the bear just because I was so pissed off. Right. So it's like, oh, I know for sure I did things that were also not
Healthy.
healthy and not the right way, basically how I should have acted.
Well, and I mean, I kind of think too, when I think back to stuff like that, I think sometimes I did things that provoked because I wanted to see if he cared, right?
Sure.
And like,
Sure.
so you're provoking something that you're like, okay, but just choose me. Like, do something
Yes.
different
Yeah.
than
Sure.
what you're doing.
Sure.
It reminded my daughter the other day. My son, bless his heart, he's a 15-year-old. He's a
Mm-hmm.
butthead, right?
Yep.
Teenagers are
Mm-hmm.
buttheads.
Yes.
So he
They like to
tells the
pester.
9-year-old, if you roll off the couch, you get magic powers. And I
Oh
was
my
like, okay,
gosh.
well, girl, I judge you for doing it
I
because
know.
you're smarter than that. But, and she's like,
They're like,
but I just
there's
wanted
that.
to know if he cared about me. And so that's what made me
Oh
think
my
about it.
gosh.
And so we
Yes.
talked about how that
Yeah.
is not a healthy way
Yeah.
to figure out if someone cares about you. And I had that conversation with her. But like when I look back at my relationship and arguments,
Yeah.
like there were times where I'm like, okay, but just do something different. Like, and
Yep.
so I think there were times where I would pick an argument because I wanted a different result. And in
Sure.
my head, the different result made more sense than whatever was happening.
Yeah, and you're right, actually. That probably is like maybe this will be the turning point.
Yeah.
Maybe something I say or something that happens will be the turning point. I
Yes.
probably did. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like maybe not knowingly, but yeah, that
Because who wants
probably
to just
was.
fight to fight? Like, I'm
Oh,
sure there was
yeah.
part of like, just
No.
choose me. Like,
Mhm.
this is frustrating as all
Yeah.
get out.
Yep, for sure. And so, I think at that point, like I said, so I feel like our healing was starting. I feel like he um was learning, but a lot of times in those situations, like he went into treatment trying to cure alcoholism and he came out smoking.
Up a different thing.
Yeah, and it was like,
You're like,
"You
no, we're
literally
not
just
trading
learned
it.
this. Like, you just learned this. What happened?" And luckily that was short-lived because I was like, "This is unacceptable. We live
Yeah.
in my parents' home. Like, it's not happening." But, again, like my naive brain is just like, "Okay, is this normal? Is this like what happens?" Like, I don't know. I don't know if this is like how it
Well, and
works.
who
Like,
knows what normal is? I can
and
imagine
is
that
there a normal?
that's what
Is
I'm
it
saying. I can imagine
yeah.
that each situation with this is totally opposite and
Sure.
personalized to that person, the trauma that caused them to drink in the first place or how they even got there,
Yeah.
and then what they're coming out into. Like, there's
Mhm.
probably so many variables that
Yeah.
play into that.
Yeah. And I want to say, and now that I'm like thinking about it, maybe his first stint was only 45 days. But no, I do think he ended up staying a little long for 60 days. So then he comes home, we live with my parents. We live there for a little while longer. working. Let me think timeline. I mean, he basically, so he starts working. We're okay, like we're moving on, things are happening,
Rebuilding.
we're rebuilding, we move out. And I mean, at this point, because again, dates and all of that is such a blur, but he makes it 11 months and relapses.
Did you see the relapse coming or did it just come out of nowhere?
Um, I don't know if that one, there were other ones I saw. That one I don't know. I think that one I was so like, "No, he's got this."
Mhm.
Again, because in my
Optimistic.
yeah, in my brain though too, I'm like, if he wants to stop and like now he went to rehab, now he's gonna stop.
He's got the tools.
Like, again, I still at that point did not understand addiction enough to
Yeah.
know that this is like a multi-step process.
Yeah.
At that point, he was trying to do like the AA program through the LDS church and like so many other things, right? And he's going to his meetings, but he, I can't remember if he had a sponsor at that point or not. Like, it's like, okay, well, you need to do this. Well, I don't need to do that. Like everything was kind of I know, but like I don't have time for that. Like I have a wife and kids and a job and like, I just don't have time for that. I can do it on my own. Like a lot of things were still like, I can do it on my own.
Yeah.
And I remember specifically my dad, coming over and talking to us and saying, like, you cannot do this without God's help. That's literally like the AA mantra is you have to have a higher power.
Yeah.
Whether that's you're praying to a tree or,
Yeah. Who
it's
knows?
praying to God. Like
Yeah.
people, everyone does it to whoever, like whoever
Yeah.
their higher power is. And my dad just kept saying that, and both of us are like, "Yes, you can. People do it every day. Like, you don't have to have God, whatever."
Yeah.
And again, not that we didn't like believe in God. It was nothing like that, but it was like we just didn't feel like that was something that we needed. So he relapses after 11 months, and then after that, it was just like it was probably just as bad as it was before, but it felt worse
Oh, absolutely.
because we had already been through it. And to me, I was just like, "Oh my gosh, like, no,
I can't
like,
do this again.
I can't do this." Yes, I just feel like my life was in shambles
Yeah.
all the time.
Were you still living with your parents at this time?
Nope, so we had moved out,
Okay.
but because yeah, like I said, I mean, he had been sober 11 months
Yeah.
by that point. And even that specific time, I don't even remember the situation surrounding him relapsing actually at all. But I do remember that was when there were, like, some scarier times where I wasn't concerned for my safety in my life, but for his life. And that's where I felt like he was probably the most depressed during that time. And there were definitely times where I remember thinking, like, I don't know if he's going to be alive when I get home, or if he was gonna get in a car accident or kill someone else or I
Which
mean, just all the things. Again, my
yeah.
codependency was so like was running rampant of like, "Hey, what do I do to like make sure he doesn't drive? What do I do to like make sure this doesn't happen? Like, how do I do this? How do I do this?" And
Which I don't think if
I don't
people have
know.
experienced that level of feeling out of control and wanting to protect someone that you love so much
Mhm.
that they can understand. Because so my ex threatened suicide so many times, and there were like, I remember feeling like, "I have no idea what I'm coming home to."
Yeah.
And that feeling, I don't know how you put it into words.
No, you don't because it's like the most sinking like
Out of control, there's nothing you can do to change it.
yeah.
If that's the outcome, that's the outcome. There's
Yeah.
nothing else you can do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which feels so helpless. I mean, I guess that's the best word, but that feels so inadequate
Mhm.
to describe it.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's why I guess I say I like my codependency was running rampant because I felt so out of control, but yet I was trying to control everything.
I think that's normal.
Like, yeah, just like how do I keep this boat afloat, you
Yes.
know? And because at this time too, like my twins are yeah, and mind you, through all of this time, even from the start to finish of like, when I'm pregnant and they're doing the intervention and like to where we end up getting, even to today, like we're still with family members, we're still doing our whole daily lives, right?
Yeah.
Everyone's checking in, everyone like
Life doesn't stop.
yeah, and like, like his brother, "How's it going? How's this? How's that?" And again, I'm not wanting to tell a secret because then he'll be so pissed at me. Like he didn't want people to know he had relapsed. Like and of course that's shame and guilt and all the things. And that's what keeps you drinking to begin with. Right. Cause he was
Absolutely.
like, I couldn't even do it.
Yeah.
I made it 11 months. And that's what they say though, is that like right before big milestones is usually when you relapse,
Okay.
because it's when your mind is telling you like, you can't do this.
That
And
makes
so you
sense.
might as well just give up now.
Because it's kinda like coming to the anniversaries of
Mhm.
things, like,
Yeah.
that makes a lot of sense. Because I dread, like, coming up to certain dates,
Yeah.
I can feel it, my body
Sure.
can feel it,
Yeah.
so that makes a
Yeah.
lot of sense, actually.
And so again, we were aware of those kind of things. But so that second time around was probably the most hellacious. I literally felt like I was going through hell. A lot of things happened. Like I said, I don't want to touch on those, but so many things happen. And also during this multiple of these times, right? I actually had left him. Like, I can't do this anymore. Like, again, obviously I moved into my parents and I was like, hey, I'll support you. But then like that second time around, like I was like, we are done. Like, I cannot do this. But I kept taking him back and kept taking him back and kept taking, because I loved him. That was never the issue.
Well,
I
and you
knew
have
who he was.
children,
And we,
and
yes.
there's, like, a family. I think so
Yeah.
many times I judge myself for going back as many times as I
Yeah.
did. I mean, there's holding out hope. What if?
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
and
And
I
that's what
think
they talk about
too.
even in treatment is like, you have to have hope.
Yes. Well, and, like you said, he was always a good dad. Like,
Yeah.
there was nothing that.
And a very doting husband, but he is a gift giver. Like that is his love language in general. And I started to, I don't know if I've even told him this, but like I started to really have a hard time with gifts because they meant that he had done something.
Yeah, you knew that there was something behind it.
Yeah.
It wasn't just the thought.
Yeah. But like for years, like he was always such a doting husband. And, when we were dating, he was always showering me with gifts. So I don't feel like it was ever like up to that point. It was just in those years that gift giving felt very like,
Doesn't
don't
feel that
even
way
want
anymore.
it. No, nope. And it doesn't even feel like that anymore.
Do you
It
feel
was
like
just
it
for
took
those like
you
probably
a
like 5-year period.
while he was drinking,
Yeah.
or did
Where
you feel
it
like
was like really, really bad.
okay. Do you feel like it took you a time after to get over that feeling? Like,
Oh yes.
how long do you feel like that took? If you
Um,
could like give it a guess.
I would say multiple years.
And just in like him showing you the gifts were genuine and not with
Yeah.
a back something behind it, kind
Mm-hmm.
of.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Again, he was because when we were dating, he was always showering me with gifts and flowers, and like that's just who he was. It just felt more disingenuine during that like 5-year period.
Yeah, that makes
And
sense.
I would say 5 years, meaning from the time that we had that first intervention to the time that he, like the very last episode happened, we separated and then kind of came back together. That was like 5 years. And in between that 5 years was he went to treatment 3 different times. He
All the ups
relapsed
and downs.
multiple times. Yeah. So then after that second time, we end up having to move out of this house because we were just renting it. It was an older home. I was actually obsessed with it. It was amazing. But a lot of problems kept flooding, like anyway, just issues. So we end up finding another house to rent. And again, we go into it like so hopeful, like this is going to be great, all these things during that, again, because I kind of do it in 3 separate parts. During that second time where he went to treatment again, he really only went for a few weeks. He just
Okay.
detoxed and then like literally just stayed there for like a week. Like I think he detoxed for a week and like was there for a week. Cause he was, I can't leave work that long and I can't do this and we can't afford it and all these things.
Yeah.
But again, I'm like, yeah, I wish he would stay longer, but it's his decision. I really tried and that was it. So we move into this home. We are only there for like 6 months. I think we move in, we're there August through December, literally 31st, like, cause something had happened on New Year's Eve. And so that just those few months. And in that time, he relapses again. And at that point, I remember thinking like, he literally, like, he is like black
Yeah.
eyes. Like he is gone. Like he has like, not that he has like Satan in him. That like sounds so awful, but he was just dark, like
There
just
was no
dark.
emotion that you saw. There was nothing you recognized in him.
No, like I just felt like he was just dark
Yeah.
in every sense of the word. And again, by that point, and I do feel like, and I think that you would probably feel the same way, but as time goes, you almost get stronger.
Oh, yeah.
right? Because you're like, "Oh my gosh, this is so hard. I can't deal with this." And you're like, "No, I am not putting up with this." And then I'm like, "No, I am not putting up with this." And then it finally gets to like, "No, I am done."
Yes.
Right? So like at that point, like I said, something had happened like on New Year's Eve, and I was like, "I'm done. We're done. Like this is it." For like the third time, fourth time, whatever
This time I
whatever it
mean
was,
it.
right? This time I mean it. This time I mean business. And so I luckily, again, we have so much amazing family. My brother, my personal brother, he helps me get out of this house, because we had signed a year lease, but it was like I couldn't afford to pay that on my own. And so many miracles happen at this time. And this is why, like, I could never, ever, ever deny God. Like, so, again, this happens. Like the next day, my brother talks to this landlord, gets us out of this. I start looking and something pops up on KSL, this house in Pleasant Grove. And it's totally within my budget. It's a 2-bedroom, like townhome. But I'm like, I, could have 4 kids if my stepson's mom will let him come with us. But then I'm like, I just have the 3 kids so I'm like, okay. So I call them and they're like, actually, it's so crazy. Like, we just barely put this on after like it'd been like 1 hour. And she's like, we actually were going to sell it. And then we just kind of decided last second that we would rent it. I mean, it just was like so many things started falling into place. And it was ready immediately. I mean, I
Yeah.
think I moved in within like days.
Oh, that's amazing.
And so, again, I'm packing up another house by myself.
Here we go again.
And so I moved there by myself. Like at this point, I tell him, I don't care where you're going, do whatever the hell you want. I'm leaving. And so I move into this place. Um, we start getting it set up. It's like 2 big bedrooms. Like there's a master, right? And then there's like a second bedroom that's like, it's quite large. It has big walk-in closet. I mean, it was no problem for 3 small children at this
Yeah.
time. So my kids' ages, mind you, so my second son was in kindergarten at the time. He
Okay.
had started kindergarten at that other house. So we just transferred him. So he's like, I don't know what, 5, 6.
Yeah.
And my twins are turning 3 that month. Like we moved into that house and then their birthday was like a week later and they had turned 3. So we move into this house and obviously I'm still kind of talking to my husband. I had not done anything rash by that point, but it was like, we're done. Like, you've got to get your crap together. And I don't even remember like where he went or where he was staying or anything like that. But he did end up going to treatment. And that was the 3rd time he had gone.
And was this the only time, or I mean, maybe not the only time, was this the only time he chose to do that where it wasn't other people being like, you need to go do this?
No, I think the second time was okay, maybe like 75-25. And I think that 3rd time was probably even like 90-10. Because that last time at treatment still was not even
The end.
the end. So mind you, we're starting a new year. This is January. So I move into this new place on my own. He goes to treatment again. I don't even remember how long he stayed. Maybe it was 30 days, maybe it was 60 days. But like by March, he's moving back in, I've forgiven him again, but even in my brain at that point, I'm still just like, okay, but like you've told me this a million times. Like
Yeah.
I can't even tell you how many times you've told me that you will stop drinking. But I don't know. I love him so much. He's just the light of my life. When he's good, he's good.
Did you believe him? So I guess, for example, when I left my abuser the first time he was arrested, I never let my brain think that I was going to divorce him. That was never a thought that I had. I never let divorce cross my
Yeah.
mind, right? And I remember looking back later and I'm like, why didn't I? Right?
Yeah.
So when he's telling you, I'm not going to drink anymore, words are probably coming out of your mouth or whatever, but like internally, did you ever believe that? Were there times that you did and times that you didn't?
Yeah, I would say times I did, times I didn't. I believed him for a long, long time. Then it was like, okay, like I'll believe it when I see it. But yeah, I mean, I still wanted to have hope and I still still had that, eternal optimism. And I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if I could say, it was just in my mind, but I just still want him here. He's still my
When do
husband
you
and I
feel like
still love him.
absolutely. Do you feel like he was doing the work to, like, earn your forgiveness, I guess? Not that he's, like, earning anything,
Um,
but do you know, like, when people are
I
like,
mean,
"Okay, but you
yes,
just
because
take him," he's going to treatment, right?
yeah,
But,
yeah.
like, and I guess that's kind of complicated because he's not angry, he's not like,
Yeah, and
there's
that's
no
what he's a
airs.
doting husband. Like he's was always so loving to me and so again gift giving and
That had to be so confusing for
yeah.
you to have the flip-flops, to know
Oh,
he's so
yes.
capable of this, but then
Yes.
you're getting this.
And that's where I think I finally was just like so fed up. But that last time that he goes to treatment, I mean, I do think he genuinely was like not scared straight, but that was a turning point. I do believe that. Even though that wasn't the end, that
Mhm.
was a turning point. But it almost came at a cost because that third time caused him so much anxiety for relapsing that it
Okay.
was debilitating, where he couldn't get a job. He couldn't even look for a job. And this is someone who is a workaholic.
And
Like
always been
our
so
entire
go-getter.
marriage, like when we were dating, he worked, all day and then worked all night. And he just did that for years by this point, right? I mean, how many years so that was like 2015 was that last year that he had gone to treatment. And from 2006, we're at 9 years by this point,
Yeah,
and he had been a workaholic
the
and
whole time.
but maybe part of that was also like that was his time to kind of be alone
Okay.
at night, right? Where he's working but he's drinking.
Mhm.
And I am not a night owl. I can fall asleep mid-sentence. Like, honey, your voice is just so soothing. I'm sorry, but it just like puts me right to sleep. So I was always in bed early.
Yeah.
Always. And so there were many nights I'm sure he was doing, whatever he wanted because I was asleep. So at this point, it was so debilitating to him. At this point, I'm still working 2 jobs. I'm doing hair and I'm working at the technology company. I'm doing more hair. By this point, I had started working in a salon because my twins were so young. Like when they were like a year and a half to 2 years, that's where I was like, okay, I can't keep doing this at home during nap time. It was bananas. I would think that they were taking a nap and then I would hear them in there knocking crap off their
Uh-huh.
walls and, climbing like monkeys. And remember too that I had so many amazing angels, if you will, around me at this time. I could name so many people that helped me. But so one of my best friends at the time, she was actually struggling in her own marriage as well, but she also had twins that were just 3 months older than my twins. And she was like, listen, I'm trying to make some extra money. I'll nanny for you. So I would go to the salon one day a week and work from like noon to like 11 p.m. Right.
Mhm.
I'd just put everyone in one day. So I was like trying to build my clientele more because I could make more money. My other job, it was just part-time hours and it was a salary. So I was
Yeah.
like, I couldn't really do much more in that regard. So I'm doing both of these jobs. Right. And at the time, so then like this third strike, if you will, happens. Right. And because Aaron's home, I can say his name, it doesn't matter. I was like trying to say my husband this whole time. So so now he's home and he is helping watch the kids. Okay. So this is like March, April, May, he's doing well, all these things. And then school gets out, it's summer. And a friend of mine and I had planned to go to Florida to go to this like hair show, like an
Okay.
education thing. There was this woman that we wanted to really see. She's a celebrity stylist. I feel like she kind of changed the way of really sharing methods on social media and all that kind of stuff. So there was just so many things I was like, I really want to go. I'd saved the money to go, and he was that's the other thing too about my husband is he is always so encouraging. Like
I love
anything I want to
that.
do, he's like, do it for sure. I'll do whatever I can to help you. Right.
That's amazing.
Like even when I started the podcast, he was like, great, let's do this on the walls. Let's get some new chairs. And I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Like, listen, I'm just starting out. I don't even know if I'll get past 10 episodes. Let's take it slow,
Yeah.
whatever. Like, he really is so amazing in that regard. And so, he's super encouraging. Like, yes, you should go, all the things. So a few things had happened though while I was in Florida that made me question. One of them, when my second son had gone to play at a friend's house, it was someone in his elementary class, right? He had just finished kindergarten, but they lived in the same neighborhood as my brother and his wife and their kids. So it was like I felt comfortable with him going to their house, like all these things. Okay. So, and we had actually carpooled like with preschool and stuff. So I'd known these people for a while. This is like right at the end of the school year. He's going to go home with so and so. Like, you need to pick him up. Because remember, he doesn't have a job. He's just like taking care of the kids. Well, I get a call in Florida that, like, hey, he's not answering. He hasn't come and picked him up. Like, I have to leave somewhere. So my sister in law ended up going and picking him up. We finally get a hold of my husband. He's like, I'm so sorry. I'd fallen asleep with the twins. They were napping, blah, blah, blah. So I'm like, okay, that's kind of weird. Whatever, he's a dad and he's not used to that. I mean, there were times he had like forgot to send them to school because like that's like not his.
There's a lot
right
happening with twins.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and like at that point they're not even in preschool yet, but like maybe they did actually start preschool. They were in preschool at that time, but he just, I don't know, I just like get up and get going.
Keeping them alive was all.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm like, bro, like they have school today. Like, what's happening? So again, couple of things happened. So come home from Florida. And again, I don't even remember all the details, but come to find out he had relapsed. And I was just like, oh my gosh, I can't even leave. I leave the state.
And
this is what happened. I cannot babysit you, right? So I'm getting stronger and stronger by this time of like, and not stronger maybe is not the right word, but like not tolerant.
Yeah.
And so I'm just like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe this. Not only do you not have a job, but now you've relapsed. We don't have the money for alcohol, which I feel like over the course of this last 5 years, we didn't ever have the money for the alcohol, and it's just, I just couldn't even believe it. But again, we're like, okay, I'm going to stop. I promise this is just a slip, and I feel like he would say things like, this is like a blip in the radar. Again, they are very good at manipulating and like and doing all the things to like make you feel better about the situation. And I really do hate the word manipulate because I do feel like it has such a negative connotation. It does.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what it is.
Yeah.
Like there's no way around it. And so that's probably in June-ish, right? So then we get to August and I'm at the salon one night working, I'm cleaning up, it's the end of the night, and he calls me and he is talking gibberish. And I am just like, whoa, 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 what? And he's talking about people coming to get the kids, like
because
all
he's
this
home with the
stuff
kids
because he's
right
home
now.
with the kids. And I'm like, so I like put all my crap together, and luckily I literally live like 5 minutes from the salon. It's so
I bet it
fast.
felt like an hour.
It felt like an hour. Absolutely felt like an hour because I just was like, what is happening?
Did you like keep him on the phone or did you just like hang up and run? Like, do you even
I don't remember.
the thought?
No, because I think I was so just like in
Get home.
crisis mode of like,
Yeah.
yeah, I just have to get home. But then
Were
I
you
get
in the middle of a
home.
client during this or like?
No, luckily, like I said, it was the end of the night and I was like cleaning up.
Thank goodness.
So I just like grabbed all my crap, put it together, and was like, I just have to leave. I leave, I get home, and all the kids are asleep. And I can tell he's been drinking. He's totally inebriated and he is talking gibberish. And like now also looking back, because I'm going to refer to like a lot of different things in the past, but just because obviously hindsight's 2020, but so addicts, a lot of times they actually do things to blow up their world on purpose.
I can see that.
Right? Because their subconscious doesn't know how to humble themselves to ask for help. And so they just have to do something that will literally blow your world up.
Yeah.
And he blew up our world so many times. And again, those are the situations obviously I don't want to talk about, but so this third time he blows up our world, and that is where I am done.
Yeah.
That's it. We are over. So he goes that night. I literally don't even sleep the entire night because at that point I've like made up my mind. So again, at this time, remember I have the 2 jobs and I'm like, hey, I clearly am doing this on my own. From here on out, we're divorcing. This is it. This is my final straw. There was no question about it. So I stay up all night looking for jobs. I literally start sending out resumes in the middle of the night. The first day of school is the next day. So my son's going to first grade, and I think that must be like when the twins were starting preschool. So he's starting first grade. I have to be up the next morning, big first day of school, start sending out resumes. I get the kids up the next day. They don't know I haven't slept. Where's dad? He had to go somewhere, because at that point you are pretty much just lying to your kids all the time because you don't even know what to say.
Well, I feel like that gets so complicated because it's like age appropriate truth. There's not an age appropriate truth for
No,
that.
and I have learned too that things that I was like, "Oh, for sure they would remember that," they don't.
Yeah.
They don't remember anything, which I'm so grateful. So, get them off to school, my twins are still at home with me, and we just go through our routine, like that my life has not completely imploded.
Yeah.
And so, that whole day I end up getting an email back about a job. We set up a time for for an interview, and I have a job within 48 hours.
That is incredible.
That's what I'm saying. Just one more miracle from January to August, all of these things happened. And also in that time when I had let him move back in, so from March to April to August, there was a knock at the door at one point and he opened it and I could hear him because I was upstairs and he was like, had said these people's names. And I was like, who's he talking to? Anyway, come to find out, it was his best friend's parents that he had grown up with in Chicago and they lived in our neighborhood.
What are the chances?
What are the chances? And then also come to find out his previous best friend lived in the neighborhood next to us from Chicago.
What?
I think we knew that the friend had moved out, but I don't think we ever knew that like the parents had
Parents.
moved out.
That is crazy.
So remember them in this story. So throughout that whole time, we are talking with these parents and then his best friend and making friends in the neighborhood, and we loved actually where we lived. Like I said, it was a townhome, but it was like a community. So we had an amazing swimming pool and these huge grassy fields. Like it was just a great, great spot for us. Um, of course, like the bishop had reached out by that point and they were super good friends of ours by that. Like, but again, we still weren't doing the church thing or anything like that. But so, I kind of start reaching out to people that day, like, hey, okay, so I just got a third job. I'm going to be working basically mornings. Like, I want to say it was Monday through Friday, like, like a 9 to noon. And it was like, hey, I need somebody to get my twins to preschool. Like, I can get, my son off to school in the morning, go to the job. I need somebody to take the twins to preschool. I can pick them up or, vice versa, whatever it was. So I'd start kind of doing that whole thing. So my husband is, trying to reach out. Actually, no, I'm sorry. He couldn't reach out for like a week or two. And by that point, everyone knew what was going on. Everyone was trying to kind of keep in touch, but it was like everyone was done.
Yeah.
Like his family's like, we're not helping him anymore. My family was like, we're not helping you. We just basically were like, we're cutting ties at that point. Like we have to be done. And which unfortunately we had learned that early on in, learning about addiction. And you just don't think it's going to be you.
Yeah.
Like to me, I was just like, no, we'll never get to that point. I would never do that. But we had to do that. So after those couple of weeks, his best friend, his, former best friend or whatever, was actually the one who kind of reached him, if you will. My husband ended up moving in with his family. So they're, neighborhood right next to us. So we are very, very close. But I am telling him I want a divorce. I have already started meeting with people about divorce. I have already started filling out paperwork. I'd filled everything out by that point. Like I
Yeah.
was like, we are done. Everyone knew, like his family members, everyone. Like, I am done. Like, we are done. And, this whole time he's like, please, of course, give me another chance, like this and that. And I'm like, no, like, we're done. And I'm barely talking to him, barely talking to him. And at this point, I'm like, I will require you to have supervision with the kids. I do not trust you as far as I can throw you. And so, luckily, again, so many angels in our lives that were like, okay, well, like, I can be with him for a couple of hours with the kids or, family members, my sister, like multiple times, were willing to do that. And so again, it was like August 18th or something like that is kind of the day we go off of what his anniversary is. But he lives with his family. He's really like, again, changing around, like doing all these things. I have started kind of doing my own because I kind of hit my own rock bottom, right? So
Yeah.
I'm like trying to do whatever I can. And for me, because I know this is not because you told me you went the opposite way, but I had this thought in my head, right? Because all I kept thinking of was like, oh my gosh, can I pay for everything? Like I'm doing this on my own. I'm working 3 jobs. And I had this thought come to me, like, pay your tithing. And like, if you don't know anything about the church, it's very similar to like what is that? A collection plate, and like
Yeah.
the Catholic church, we like, pay money towards temples and churches and that kind of stuff. So I had this thought and I'm like, what?
I can't even
Like,
afford life.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I haven't paid tithing in like 15 years. Like, I don't even remember the last time I had paid tithing, maybe 12 years, like something like that. It'd been crazy. And like kept having this thought, kept having this thought. And even at this point, I wasn't even going to church. And so, but then again, I'm like, I am grasping at straws.
Oh, yeah.
And so I'm like, you know what? Okay, I've always been taught this. Like I was just like, all right, I don't care if I have 25 cents left in my bank account. I am just going to do it, I guess. Like, I don't really feel like I have many options. And anyway, so I do it. Again, Bishop's kind of like, oh, well, thanks. Like, do you want to come to church? Like, sure, I guess. Like, again, I'm trying to do like anything that's out of my norm. Like,
Yes.
what have I not done at this point? I will do anything to like get my life back on track. And I wasn't thinking about like dating or anything like it
No.
was literally just like how can I feed my family, keep a roof over their heads and not lose my mind. And my parents were like, well, we might be able to help you here. Like it was just like, and by that point too, like things were showing up on my doorstep, groceries and that kind of stuff. So people were totally 100% aware of me. I am so, so incredibly grateful for that. I will pay it forward as long as I absolutely possibly can because of that. But so I do start going to church, all of these things. And then it's like, his friends trying to talk to me and like, hey, he's really making some good strides. And I'm like, I'm sure he is. And guess what? That's probably going to last a couple of months and then he's going to relapse again. And that's it. I just couldn't ever get to that point, right? Like I
Yeah.
was like, no, I don't believe you anymore. I
Yeah.
literally don't believe you. But again, everyone's like, hey, but this is different because of this. And he hasn't done this before, which it's true. He started going to church and he started reading scriptures with this family that he was with. And he got a job literally for like $8 an hour because he didn't have a car. He was riding the bus. The bishop had like bought him a bus pass. He was working in a factory, literally canning stuff for like $8 an hour. I mean, think about being this like businessman who
Yeah.
had actually owned a business at one point and he was
Starting
on the
over.
ground floor. So I was like, okay, like this is actually like, I'm seeing some stuff, but still I'm just like, no, we're done. And again, I'm not even really talking to him. And then maybe like in October-ish, I was like, okay, you can come over for dinner so that the kids can see you. And not that even in my mind, it wasn't like I'm going to give him another chance. Like it
No.
was just, I want the kids to be
We're
able to see their
co-parenting.
dad. We're co-parenting. He lives right across the street, basically, and around the corner. Actually, he'd only lived with that family for like 6 weeks. And then he actually had rented a room with a single gentleman who was a widower in my neighborhood by this point.
So he's taking responsibility for
Yeah.
his life.
So he's just like renting a room. He's got this job. He's obviously making $0 basically. And then he has like $0 left after, after he moves in to rent this room. But he's again kind of the same, like around the corner on the opposite side of this community. And so he is making strides. Okay. More than I've seen in the past. But so it's around October-ish. So I'm like, okay, yeah, come and whatever. And then, and I think it is different when you are already married because things escalate faster. It's not like you've just met somebody
Yeah.
and then you're all of a sudden dating and whatever. So around that time though, like the kids would go to bed because they're young and he would want to talk and, I'm so sorry and this and that. And I was just pretty like, just, okay,
Listening
like,
to the
I don't
words,
know.
but not taking it in.
Yeah,
Kind of.
like, I'm sure you are sorry, and I'm, yeah, like, this could have been really great, but, like, I don't believe you,
Yeah.
and, all these things. And then he started kinda saying, like, "I would like to court you. I would like to basically, like, kinda start dating you again. Like, I would like to work my way back up to your life?" And he didn't know this, but, like, for some reason like, I had filled out all of the paperwork, I had gone and talked to the court, like, everything, but for some reason, I had just never actually turned it in. And not that there was ever anything that was like I didn't ever feel like, "Hey, you shouldn't," or "You should."
There
I
was just
just
no reason.
didn't. And I think it was, like, I don't know, like, life just kinda got busy,
Yeah.
right? Like, I
When it
just
was like you were trying to date someone, you weren't thinking about getting
No.
remarried. So that
No.
just wasn't a priority.
No,
You had so many other things you were
I was
focused
literally
on.
just, like, working 3 jobs, I don't have time for anything. Um And so he's like, I want to court you. I'd like to take you on a date. And I was like, I don't know. I got to think about it. Anyway, so he takes me on a date and he's trying to like, again, he's like, hey, I have a little bit of money. I'd like to take the kids to do this. And so then we'd kind of go as a family because of that. Like just little things started happening. And then like in November, he was like, hey, I would love for you and the kids to come to Thanksgiving with my family. And I was like, oh, I don't know. And this I don't know. And anyway, and then I was like, yes, okay, like I'll go. And it was fine, but it wasn't like we were like really together. I mean, I love his family. His family is amazing. And so that wasn't like a question.
Yeah.
And I was still was taking, the kids to see his family for dinners and what have you. So anyway, and then I do feel like probably after that, like Thanksgiving and, I would say maybe in December it was like, okay, we're going to give this another try. But I wasn't like really telling anyone, like, because that's the thing is that like never once in all of that time. Okay. So by this point, we're like 5 years of absolute hell. Nowhere in that time period did we did anyone around me, both sides of the family, ever say, hey, like you should just be done? You should divorce him? Not once. Not
That's
my parents,
amazing.
not my siblings, like nothing. Like my brother finally was like, okay, when I said, I'm ready to do this. And then he was like, okay, let me tell you, I've got some friends. They have some resources. Let's go sit down with them. And that was it. Not once did anyone put anything in my mind that that was what I
That's
should do.
beautiful.
Yeah. Which I feel so, so lucky because who knows what would have happened if that was the case, right? If I
Oh,
had
yeah.
somebody else kind of telling me in my ear that that's what I should do. So we kind of start dating. Again, we just have so many amazing angels around us. By this point, he is finished working at the factory and he's gotten a real full-time job
Yeah.
and a really awesome one. Like he had reached out to a few old friends. And anyway, so he gets this great job. So we finally have like health insurance again and like all this kind of stuff. Cause again, we're technically still married. So he put us all on that. And it was probably the next February. So like again, that's December. So a few months, we're kind of I'm seeing things. And then, he'd been sober since August. Again, I don't know what it was in my mind, but things just were different. Like the things that he had done were 100% different than he had ever done before.
Yeah.
And so I think that just made me feel more comfortable. And so he moved back in February, and the rest has been history.
I love
So that was 2016 when he moved back in. And in that time too, he was with that company for a while and then he ended up moving to a different company. Again, just kind of worked his way back up to where he was business wise. But so that was like February 2016. Our plan was like, okay, let's stay for another year or two in this place that we're renting and then we'll look at buying a house. But then by that same year, the end of that same year, our owners, who remember had just randomly decided to throw it back up for rent. So
Yeah.
we'd already lived there for 2 years. We're like, hey, we finally need to sell it. We, are ready to be done with it. And you have to move out unless you want to buy it. So anyway, and again, remember this is only a 2-bedroom.
Yeah.
My kids are 2 years older by this point. It's getting
Oh,
very squishy. And so then we end up, we're looking for a home and we end up where we're at now. And we've been there for 8.5 years now. And he's been sober for 10 years this last August.
that is incredible. I got chills. I'm
It's
so
it's
happy for
pretty
both of
incredible
you.
to look back at what we went through. Like I said, in a 5-year period, he went to treatment 3 different times, kicked him out multiple times. We almost got divorced. We were separated for 7 months. Like, again, remember from like August to February. And, even though I guess we're kind of dating again in there, but and I do not take it for granted because I know it could change at any time.
Yeah.
Addiction is a lifelong struggle that is real. It is a disease. It is something that they cannot do on their own. And in fact, you can die if you try to go cold turkey from alcohol. I just thank God every single day that we ended up where we did and
Beautiful.
kind of on the other side, right?
Yeah.
Where again, this is something he'll always struggle with. It's something he always has to be aware of, meetings. So he's done all that kind of stuff over the years as well. He did have a sponsor at one time. Like I said, we've had some really amazing angels in our lives that have helped with so many things. People came into our lives when they absolutely needed to.
Yeah.
And yeah, he is my best friend. He is, like I said, a phenomenal dad. Most of the time I really am like, hello,
I'm
like,
still here.
come hang out with me, but he just loves the kids so, so much. He travels for work. And so that's the thing is like he gets home on a Friday night and he just wants to hang out with the kids, and I'm like,
But I miss
okay, so
you.
I'll go to bed. You hang out with the kids. I'll see you tomorrow,
Oh, that
you
is
know?
amazing.
But he's incredible. He is incredible. He is just full of so much wisdom and knowledge. He's probably one of the smartest people I know. He's just, all the things great and wonderful and infuriating. No, I'm just joking. I mean, we all are. I know I
Yeah,
infuriate him too.
same.
But
Everyone
no,
has them.
yeah. Oh, yeah. So, that's not to say like we haven't had our struggles over the last 10 years, but considering what we went through the first 10 years of our life, because we'll be married for 20 years this next year, the last 10 years have been bliss,
That is
even though like
amazing.
we've had our struggles, but it's just nothing. Like I feel like now that we have been through what we have, we can do anything.
Absolutely. You've already done it.
Except
There's one thing.
I do think about this often, and we have to get this on recording in case something does ever happen. And you can be like, oh, this is why she actually went into the loony bin. No, I probably shouldn't even say this is like putting it out into the universe, but like heaven forbid, like I had a child, like I don't know if I could do addiction again. I don't know if I could do a rehab again. I don't know if I could do, and it's so scary to think about.
I can see that. I can see you being so scared, but my daughter, my sweet, almost 18-year-old adult daughter, which is so weird to think about,
Yes.
sent me this the other day. I'm going to cry. She sent me it was just like a meme or a
Yeah.
picture or something. And it was like, maybe you went through the hell you went through so that you can help other people.
Yeah.
So, I think as much as you
Yeah.
say that,
And I do feel like I've been able to be an advocate and help other people in their struggles for sure.
and like helping people understand like the way you talk about your husband didn't change through the whole time you were telling your
Yeah.
story, the love you had for him, the admiration you have for the father he is and how he loves you as a partner and a husband, that never changed.
No.
And I think people can lose sight of that because they can just see the hurt that's being caused
Yeah.
and they forget all of that other stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I hated him a lot.
Oh,
So
yeah.
do not think it was all like, butterflies and rainbows in my brain, even though
But
I
the
always
love.
loved him.
Yes.
There were a lot of times, and he does know this, and I have told him, there were a lot of times I didn't want to be at home. Like I
It was too
went
hard.
out with friends all the time. I did a lot of stuff to stay away from him, which is so terrible to say that.
Well, but you
I
knew
just didn't
you
want to
couldn't
deal with it.
change him.
Yeah.
I mean, and even listening to me hear you tell it, like the last time it sounds like he really took the initiative to do all of the work. It was no one telling him he needed to do it.
Yes.
He took
Yes.
the
He
initiative to do it.
100% he did. Yes.
And so I can see that being a completely different
Yeah.
experience for you and seeing those actions.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And that's where like and when I say I did therapy for 5 years, that's why I say like during that 5-year period, every time he went to treatment, I was doing therapy too.
Which is so important.
Right? And so that's where who knows, I probably need a little bit more, but
Everyone needs therapy.
yeah, I just learned so much. So then when I kind of came out of that, that's when I finally was like, when I say I hit my own rock bottom, it was, okay, this is not your fault. You cannot change him. Even if he relapses tomorrow,
It
that's
wasn't
not
you.
on me. That's not my fault.
Yeah.
I didn't do that.
Yeah.
Like as much as that would absolutely blow up my world, that is not on.
You don't hold the
Yeah.
responsibility for
Like
that.
I can't, because a lot of people are like, aren't you nervous he travels? And what about this? I'm like, I can't be nervous though.
Oh, you would go crazy.
Yes, because like I can't be with him every minute of every single day. And that's just not a reality. And so in my mind, I have to like trust him. That's on him. Like there's literally nothing I can do.
Yeah. No, I agree completely. Well, I loved all of that. To finish up, so during your experience, was
Mhm.
there any advice you were given or assumptions about your situation or questions you were asked that really bothered you that you just want to correct that you're like, this just doesn't make a whole lot of sense?
Yeah. Yep, for sure. But again, I didn't understand addiction for a long, long time, and other people don't either, right? And so I don't fault them for that. But if there's anything that I would hope that people know is that like the whole codependency thing, right? It doesn't matter what anybody else does. If they don't want to change, they will not change. And because I had people say, like, when they found out he relapsed, like, why didn't you knock the bottle out of his hand? Why didn't you dump it out? Why didn't you do this or this or this? Like, it was my fault. And it's like, whoa, 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 whoa.
Yeah.
Like, That's
None of this was
literally not how it
yeah.
works, and this is not on me.
No, you didn't choose
Like,
any of
just
it.
because I have a spouse that's an alcoholic, like, that is not on me that he relapsed, like,
No.
at all. That was so hard for me because I felt a lot of guilt, that, like, again, I was already feeling the guilt of I'm not good enough, and that's
That's
why
right.
he's not stopping, and now I'm feeling the guilt of he relapsed and you didn't do anything to stop it.
Yeah, it was your job to
Yeah,
stop him.
and I'm like, that that is absolutely not true.
No, I
So
agree.
So just be aware is what I would say of like if you know of anyone in that situation, like one, it's not your fault. And there is nothing that you can do. Like you can obviously help them, but you do have to set boundaries. And boundaries are very, very important. Um, but like I said, it took me 5 years to really realize that it wasn't my fault and that it was not on me. And that may sound really harsh and very like maybe prideful, but there's literally like we are only in charge of our own actions, right? We tell our children that
Uh-huh.
all the time. Like how you react to something, like you are the only one that can control that.
Yeah.
Just because someone provoked you, that does not mean you have to blow up and punch them. Like, and so, yeah, I would say, like, I got a lot of
Judgment.
comments, yeah, whatever it is, like, why did you not do this? Why did you not do this? And I mean, I received some judgment too, and I kept taking it back.
Yeah.
Like, I very much, when you were telling me your story, I'm like, I feel that.
Mhm.
I really feel that because you still love them
Yeah.
and you know who they were at one point. And, mine is maybe a little tiny different because there was a substance abuse problem, but he did act that way because he was under the influence.
Well, and I think too, the difference in my situation versus your situation was you and your husband both wanted it to work.
Yeah,
And that I think was the main difference. I think substance or not. I think if both parties are willing to work on it and work on themselves individually and together, I think really truly anyone can work through anything.
sure.
I think being with my husband now and
Yeah.
seeing the amazing communication we have, I don't question that I could make it through anything with him
Yes.
because of the relationship that we
Yes.
have and the relationship we've built. But I think if you don't have two people that are willing, you'll never get there.
Yep. Yep. No, 100%. So, and then just if there's any advice, obviously like I said that's kind of like what people said and so what my advice is based on what people say, but my advice to anyone is just in life is maybe that if you truly do love someone, you do have to set those boundaries. And marriage is hard, like let's kind of connect our stories in that regard where everyone kept telling you that, but it shouldn't be that kind of hard, where it's like even in all of that 5 years, we still had so many wonderful, wonderful
I
times.
think that's why I can say life is hard
Yeah,
because I think
sure.
life experiences were hard.
Yeah.
But like your marriage to him, outside of the alcohol, outside of all of that, like that part wasn't hard.
No,
You loved him, you
no.
loved how he loved you, you
Yep.
loved how he loved your kids. So that's where I feel like that term just gets so
Yeah.
triggering for me because it was the life around you. It was the things around you in life that were making it hard,
Yes.
you know?
For sure.
So I think that just sometimes words hold power. They
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
And so I think so often it can just be flipped. But
Yeah. Yeah, so that would be my advice, and I think that can be in any relationship, right? This is not just like if a spouse has an addiction, this can be a sibling, this can be a parent, this can be a good friend,
yeah.
and I think that if you're understanding, but also you hold boundaries and, you're there for them when you can, but also you put an end to things if it's unhealthy for you. But life is hard. The marriage should not be hard.
Yeah.
And our marriage has not been hard.
I love that.
So
One thing I'll add with like setting boundaries, I think one thing I didn't understand as a teenager is setting a boundary felt disrespectful to me. Like
yeah.
it felt like I was being
Yes.
disrespectful to that other person.
Totally.
And so when I go talk to high schools now, I tell them setting a boundary is not
Yeah.
disrespectful. That doesn't mean you don't love the other person. It just means that's a boundary for you. And I think that was something that I never learned as a
Oh, yeah.
teenager and so it always felt really scary and hard. And so I think one thing I would love people to understand just based off what you said is boundaries are not
Yeah.
disrespectful.
Not at all. And if people are taking it as disrespectful, then
Why?
and that's an error on their thinking.
Well, I always tell my daughter, if they have a problem with you setting a boundary, ask yourself why there's a problem.
Yes.
Because
Yeah.
that means there's probably an intent for them on crossing that boundary and you've just created a hurdle for them.
Yes. Yep.
So if no one should have a problem with the boundary you set.
No. Yeah.
Well, thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
That was
Like I
so
said, I
beautiful and
didn't know if
perfect.
I would get
And
emotional. It's been a lot of years, and I talk about it, I feel like, all the time.
yeah,
So,
I think it's different too to like go into the depths of it,
yeah,
right? And like
totally.
go through it. But I think it's so important for people to understand the thought processes and things that happen during that time
Mhm.
because I don't know, when I talk to people about my trauma, they look at me like I'm crazy, but it's just because that was my normal life. And so it's not weird to me,
Yeah, yeah.
And I want people to not feel so alone because I think it happens more than people care to admit.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I would say too, like, for I would say on both of us, right? If there's anyone who is listening to this episode and is struggling with a spouse or anyone, like, please reach out. I'm happy to give resources. I don't have a ton of resources, but like I said, we had some really amazing people in our life that helped us figure some things out, and I can pass that along.
Yeah, I'm willing to do any research and help anyone. I
Yeah.
think same. So I love that. Well,
Yeah.
thank you so much.
Thank you.
That was so
My
fun.
first podcast.